Hey everybody, my name is Jim Farmer. I'm the festival director of Out on Film, Atlanta's LGBTQ Film Festival. This is our 35th anniversary festival, and the programming's been amazing. The reception's been great as well. Thank you all out for coming. One of the programs that we love so much is a little bit of this, a little bit of that, which actually screened in person last week and is now streaming online as well through October the 9th. We have four other filmmakers here today, and I'm going to let them introduce themselves and their films, and then we'll jump into some questions. So we'll start with Rahul.
Yeah, hi, I'm Rahul Roye, a screenwriter, filmmaker from India, and it was a great honor for our film Man and Wife to be selected at Out on Film. And the film is about a genderqueer person who comes out to his would-be bride on the day of their wedding, just before the ceremony.
Yeah. Okay, great.
My name is Chris Molina. I'm from Miami. My film is called The Truth of a Thousand Nights. It's about a one-night stand, and these guys kind of just enjoying that. And yeah, that's it. Happy to be here.
Tristan.
Hey, my name is Tristan. My film's called The Man of My Dreams, and I'm in New York. And Chris and I just met a couple weeks ago, actually.
Okay,
do you remember meeting at Gotham?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, we did meet.
Yeah, it's nice to see you. It's such a
You
small
too.
world. Yeah.
I'm Tyler Rabinowitz, and my film I directed is called Catalina. It follows a gay man and his two childhood best friends as they reunite for a weekend camping trip on Catalina Island, where they grew up going together.
Okay, great. Thanks so much. Next question is what inspirations did you have for your film, and how personal these films are to you all?
So should I begin answering?
Yeah, we'll do the same order. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so being genderqueer myself, I could never really fit myself into the pre-existent algorithm set by the white supremacist colonial heteronormative gender binary. And I always wanted to address the wide spectrum of gender fluidity. And with my first film, Man and Wife, where I have tried to address the fact that your gender role or sexuality is not something that is dependent on the attire you choose to wear. And being non-binary, the main protagonist, Sohan, chooses to wear a Banarasi sari, which is a traditional bridal wear in India. And that's what it is about. So
Okay,
this is what inspired me to make the film.
Great.
Oh, me. Yeah, correct. The same order. I realized during the pandemic that I wasn't hooking up with anyone, obviously. So I was coming to terms with the fact that I was kind of hooking up with people as a form of self-validation.
Mm-hmm.
And I really wanted to explore that and explore why I felt this need to be close to people all the time. So yeah, it is pretty personal to me, but I'm sure that's kind of the case for everything everyone makes. You know what I mean?
Okay.
For me, my previous work has tended to be a bit like cynically self-reflective on my romantic failures and misadventures. And I kind of started to really think about how, in creating that narrative and continuing to put that out there about myself or about queerness, how it could be continuing to manifest that in my behavior. So I wanted to create a work that was more optimistic and provided some like hope into the future, and
Mm-hmm.
with the intention that it could maybe be effective in my personal life as well.
Yeah. Okay.
It hasn't been yet. I don't want to say that.
Catalina was inspired originally. The lead actor Sam DiGiovanni, he wrote the script, and he was really inspired by the friendships that he made. Straight male friends that he would go to junior lifeguard camp with on Catalina Island growing up. So that's why it's set there. But he was particularly interested, when he first brought the project to me, he was talking about this like fuzzy, intimate, kind of tension-filled dynamic that I like someone as a gay man has like their straight male friends who have known them their whole life, and what a unique kind of friendship or relationship that is. And
Yeah.
it was so specific, but I related so deeply to that. And we really bonded over feeling that, like, you know, we have very few words to describe the relationships that exist on the spectrum between platonic and romantic. And though there's like plenty of relationships in our lives that live somewhere in that in between. So we were interested in exploring that, and more so, even more so interested in the way that, you know, as a gay man, as you come into your own and you go through these evolutions, and these guys who have watched you your whole life see those different versions of you as you kind of evolve. Um, in our experience, we had earned some level of respect where they were suddenly coming to us with their problems, and we were suddenly this like buoy for them when they were kind of going through identity crises of their own. So
Okay.
really wanted to capture the nuances of all that.
Okay. Your films range anywhere from 5 minutes to roughly about 15 minutes, yet all of them have a lot of complexity to them. Can you all talk about, you know, being able to create complex characters and do so in a fairly short period of time?
I think short films, I'm more comfortable with the format of short film because it's like it gives you the premise where you can actually experiment with the character instead of developing them the complete character arc. You can actually play with few subplots where, for example, in our film, the character, the main protagonist, Sohan comes from an upper caste family. So
Yeah.
he wears holy thread, which is, like still in the matrimonial sides, it's underlined that he is Brahmin, so he is an upper caste, and that's why he wears a holy thread. And also the jewelries they wear that represent that the kind of like dowry they have been able to provide to the families. So I don't know exactly within 8 minutes how much the characters seem developed, but what I've tried doing with the characters is that within this, and also I tried to keep the aspect ratio 4:3 just to make the premise look more claustrophobic and not give them much space to rather evolve. And also the film dwells into simultaneous narratives where one is somewhere it's actually happening in reality, or in another one it's actually happening in his mind, and he's exactly maybe he is rehearsing the entire episode in his mind of coming out. I just wanted to address with both these characters like how patriarchy plays an innate part in influencing every gender roles, be it any cisgender or non-gender specific people. So that is what.
Okay, great.
For me, it was a lot of, you know, therapy and trying to reading different things and trying to explore you know, this specific mind frame that I was in, but also kind of just being comfortable with the fact that I don't know the answers, and no one's ever going to know the answers. So kind of exploring that uncertainty through the characters, and finding comfort in that.
Okay.
Can you ask the question again? I'm so sorry.
Yeah. We were talking about the fact that these films range anywhere from 5 minutes to 15 minutes, but they have a real, you know, some layers, a lot of complexity. How did you work on, you know, getting these layers and complexity in a fairly short amount of time?
For me, the format of a short film is much more like writing a song as opposed to writing an entire musical.
Yeah.
And I think like great songs can sometimes have a couple of themes or a couple of layers, but it's really about being succinct instead of trying to tell too many stories at once. So I try to really keep it short and brief, and did try to layer into the film like the narrative, but also some subtle commentary based on the way that they were dressing without really addressing it in the conversation so much, but by creating this world for them where they could exist in this non-binary flamboyant existence and just have it be a place of acceptance for the viewer without it really having to be part of the conversation.
Okay, great.
I love that metaphor of the song. Yeah, I think for me, in terms of trying to capture the complexity, one of my main goals was just to really make the viewer feel like they were on that weekend camping trip with these guys. And so one approach to that in terms of the craft of it was to not be afraid to linger in vignettes when they're sitting on the rock so that you feel like you're sitting on a rock right beside them. But also leaning into more like ambient textural montages that feel almost like memories. So, you know, trying to elicit the feeling that maybe this is similar to like a memory of your own. So those were really two different approaches to that.
Okay. Can each of you talk about where you are in your festival runs and what it's been like to see your film with an audience, especially after 2 years of COVID and having to do most screenings virtual?
Unfortunately, I couldn't couldn't attend any of the festivals in person where our film played. But I mean, I'm very glad that the situation has shifted from the exact pandemic era where every festivals were originally. Hello?
Yeah, we can hear. Yes.
Yeah. So I mean, I'm really glad that festivals are now not only virtual, because even a year before, it was only like most of the festivals were coming out only in virtual format. And I would really love in my maybe if in any Indian festival. Excuse me. Yeah, there's some network issue, I guess, from my end. I'm so sorry.
Okay.
Am I audible now?
Yes.
Yeah, sorry. So I'm just saying that if any Indian festival programs it, then I would maybe attend it in person and actually experience like watching it with like a room packed of people.
Okay, great.
For me, this was a student film, so I was kind of surprised that it was even accepted places. I mean, I took the risk and I was excited to get in places, but I like didn't think it was gonna get in places. So that's exciting. But then also kind of just hearing it or watching it with an audience and having them laugh at certain parts or like hear them awe at certain parts is really rewarding. To know that I have that power to manipulate emotions is really nice and exciting and promising.
Nice.
Yeah, it's been a really interesting process with this whole pandemic and the way it's affected festivals. And I think it's been in a lot of ways really valuable that we can have the access to interact with each other without having to like spend tons of money to fly, because at some point it's not really financially viable for a lot of us to be able to attend every film festival, and it's great to still have those opportunities to connect. And on the flip side, I so hate that we're not all able to be in the same room together and actually get to like continue our conversation after this panel. So there's kind of a benefit and sadness to it all, but I do hope that festivals continue to have the virtual component as we carry on, because I do think it just gives us access to people in parts of the world that we wouldn't necessarily be able to talk to, and
Exactly.
it kind of creates a more economic equalization for filmmakers when we're already I think often so strapped to be able to attend the festivals itself. So yeah, I think it's both.
Great. Okay.
Yeah, I just feel really grateful that we have the opportunity to be in these spaces, especially the queer film festival circuit, being able to be in person for as many of them as I can. You know, I think we tell these stories, we make the decision to tell these stories and lean into this aspect of our identity, I think in part to feel how other people feel and things. And so being able to share these stories in community, and most especially talk to people afterwards and hear all the ways that they've connected with what you've done, I think has been really special and affirming of like, yeah, that's why we're doing this. So
Okay.
grateful for that.
Why does representation matter? Why does it matter? Why is it important to have queer directors telling these stories? And can you talk a little bit about the importance of having positive portrayals of the LGBTQ experience?
Representations, I mean, rather than representations, visibility is an extremely important tool in order to garner acceptance, I believe. But I mean, no, right representation is something we all are opting for, because in at least I can talk about Indian cinema, where more in last few years, more LGBTQ films are being made, but the representations are not authentic. I mean, they're very much contaminated with heteronormative narrative influences. But with film festivals such as Out on Film and many other queer film festivals, where only the representations and the visibility of queer people, and with their, with their ardent idiosyncrasy and individuality, is something that is celebrated, and that's a wonderful thing we all are looking for.
Okay.
So when in between writing the script and filming the movie, I saw a short by Tyler called "See You Soon," and it was kind of really important to me, not to like gas up Tyler, but to see a nice, pure, romantic story being told about two queer people, and kind of solidified the fact that, like, okay, yeah, I can also make this kind of story, and it can go on to play festivals, and it can be well received. So I think that for me is kind of the importance of this kind of like reaffirming other people of their existence, I guess.
Okay.
Yeah, for me, I've been making short films now for like 5 or 6 years, and it's been really encouraging to see that festivals are programming more films that are not about coming out or overcoming an obstacle based on whatever your orientation is. And I think that film really has the power to create imagined futures. And I think that as filmmakers, we get to create a world that maybe doesn't exist currently in our lives. But I think if we can present that on screen, it gives the world that we do live in a chance to catch up to that and eventually get there. So I do think it's important, and I think we have the power to do it. I think we are doing it. I think we're already seeing the effects of how much of a difference it can make.
Great, thanks.
Yeah, I mean, echoing what everybody else has said, I feel, I see each of our films and as part of this collective mosaic of queer stories. And I think that, it's been amazing in the past few years to see how much larger that mosaic has become as everybody's had more opportunities, more access, more ways of telling stories using their phones, whatever they can. And, and as like we've gotten more support in film and TV, I think now what I'm most interested in the future is making sure that we're all showing up for one another's stories, even if they're imperfect, and recognizing that the more we support one another as a community, the easier it will become for more of us to tell our stories. So beyond representation, that's where my mind is.
Completely, totally agree.
So final question, what's next for each of you, and what's next for your film?
I actually am developing an animation short about about a transgender singer, and who aspires to be in a college chorus. And about this film, it just got selected at Image Out Film Festival, and it's also going to other festivals which I can't name right now. I got mailed today only.
Nice.
So yeah, and Out on Film has really helped and it really kind of helped our film in its festival run, because after getting selected Out on Film, many festivals actually have contacted us and wanted to program our film to their festivals. So thank you.
Thank you.
I'm reaching the end of my festival run, which is fun because then I can post it online and it can be accessible to everyone and they don't have to pay to watch and whatever. So that's exciting. And then I'm also working on a feature, which is fun and nervous and a whole new monster to tackle, but that's part of it. That's part of it.
Great. Thank you.
So this is part of a series of films that I've been like making over the years, and the next one I'm going to be making in the spring. And I think they're all tying into like a greater feature that I've been trying to develop for a few years. So both of those things are sort of in action at the same time. And then for this film, it's kind of, yeah, it's sort of near the end of the festival run, I think. And then another festival asks to screen it, and I think that's great too. So I'm just kind of riding the wave. Yeah,
Great.
that's it.
Catalina will play a couple more festivals, and then it'll be released online in next month, actually. Looking forward to being able to share it with people, make it accessible. I've been in development for my first feature for the past 3 years, and it looks like, fingers crossed, it'll be filming next year.
Yeah.
So we're currently in the casting and financing stage of that. So a lot of the team from Catalina and See You Soon, which Chris mentioned, are coming along with me on that journey. So I'm really excited to be able to keep making work with my friends.
That's great. Thank you all so much, and congratulations. The program is a little bit of this, a little bit of that. It screened in person out on film last week, and is also streaming through Sunday, October the 9th. The films have been very, very enjoyed by our audiences. The scores have been very, very high. So thank you all for submitting your films, sharing it with us, and thanks for taking the time to talk to us today.
Thanks,
Jim.
Jim. Nice to
for
talk
having
to
me.
you all.
I talked to y'all too.
Nice to see y'all.
Thanks.
Thank
Have a
you
great
so
day.
much for